All right. Let's get this stream going a little bit. Oh, hey, Thomas Halbert on there. Okay, let's get people up in here. Let's get this. Uh-oh. My volume's on. Let me share this. Let me share this on Twitter. Wait one sec, everybody. All right. Don't know if anybody's even in here. Hey, Dunham family. All right. So let's do this. Let's get this thing prepped up. Let's pull up Heidi's Twitter. Let's pull up Holly's Twitter. What the hey. I might need to go to ProJared's Twitter. Let's pull that up too. All right. Dope. Okay. Hey, everybody. All right. I'm going to start recording my audio because this is going to be a podcast. So give me a sec. Let me do my little intro thing. And here we go. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of a Different Lens podcast. So for this episode, I am streaming this live on YouTube again. I know I said last time that I would just do an audio version, maybe not stream, but I'm still figuring things out. So anybody who is listening to this episode of the podcast, feel free to check out the YouTube channel because I am going to be going over a lot of tweets and screenshots and everything like that. Now, before I get started, so the purpose of this podcast is to kind of evoke critical thinking and looking at things from different angles. As human beings, we are so emotional, reactionary. You know, we do things without fully thinking them all the way through. We don't practice empathy. We don't look at things from different sides or anything like that, right? So part of this podcast is me walking through my own thought processes and how I kind of view things. And hey, maybe I'll get some clarity on some situations. But I want to talk about this ProJared situation, and I wanted to do it because I just released a video saying we owe ProJared and Holly an apology. And there are a lot of opinions, a lot of views on that. And as I'm looking at all the feedback so far, even though I just released it like an hour or two ago, like, it does not do this story justice to just do a short, I don't know, I did like a 12-minute video. Like, this is very complex. I've covered it in multiple videos, and that's another reason why I wanted to start the podcast, to do more long-form content, okay? Because typically when I cover stories and everything like that, I give like snippets, updates, and everything, and I think for this story that we need to piece everything together and talk about what's happening in the community as a whole. Now, the biggest thing that I want to talk about is the allegations against ProJared sending nudes to minors, okay? Now, I'm gonna come back to that a little bit later. I wanna kind of paint a picture, discuss this story and everything that's going on, and then come back to that. But overall, I wanna talk about just how we act as a society, as a community, and all these things, and this whole idea of guilty until proven innocent, okay? Now, ProJared, I'm gonna say this very early on in this podcast, ProJared might be guilty of sending nude photos to minors, in which case he should be locked up, all right? We just had a former YouTuber by the name of Austin Jones get 10 years in prison for the terrible, terrible things that he's done. Now, this is something that can happen. There's a power dynamic and everything like that. But because these are such serious allegations, I want to kind of walk through the entire scenario for everybody, because every tweet, every comment, every single person out there saying he sent nudes to minors, like, if it turns out that ProJared is innocent, this can ruin somebody's life. And we just had this happen with James Charles, and this is why I'm personally frustrated with the situation. So let's paint the picture real quick. Okay, so originally, ProJared came out with this tweet right here. I have it up on the screen. He says, "My wife Heidi and I filed for divorce. I know this may come as surprising and upsetting for many of you, but know that we do this so that we may both seek happiness for ourselves. During this time, you may see a lot of rumors, speculation, and gossip going around. I ask that you make your own observations and come to your own conclusions." Now, when he first said this, when he first dropped this, I'm like, oh, Jared, you done did some messed up things and you're trying to manipulate the situation because you know some terrible things are about to come out about yourself. Now, looking back at this, I want everybody to ask yourself, is it possible that, let me find the screenshots of it. Okay, is it possible that Jared said that because he has already received messages from his now ex-wife that said things like this? And I quote, I'm quoting Heidi right now, okay? Like, at this point, I'm fantasizing about sabotaging the game, so bear that in mind. I'm going crazy, Jared. Would be a bummer to destroy everything you've built, but it would be way more of a bummer to destroy myself by putting up with it, okay? So I want everybody to think about this because Jared's initial tweet and statement that went out, these messages that Heidi was sending to him, nobody knew about. Nobody knew about this, okay? So I want everybody to understand now. Now we have a more of a context as to why Jared said, during this time, you may see a lot of rumors, speculation, and gossip going around because he knew that his now ex-wife was planning to take him down and try to ruin his life, okay? So can we all keep that in mind? Now, originally Heidi, and I don't know if I'll be able to find her tweet. This girl loves to tweet, okay? But anyways, Heidi came out when this happened and said that Jared blocked her and she only kind of knew what was going on, and she was able to paint the narrative of being the victim, okay? Now, I've seen people arguing back and forth. No, Heidi is still a victim and he cheated on her and he wasn't honest and everything. Like, all right, I need everybody to take a step back and just understand that this was just one of the messiest relationships to ever happen on earth, okay? Everybody screwed up. There's a lot of immaturity. The only thing is that we are all witnessing it, okay? We're all witnessing it, and part of our tribal mentality is to pick a side, okay? So right now, I'm just talking about the relationship, and there are a lot of people siding with Heidi. Some people are, turning around and, talking, about, how Jared is, actually innocent. And here's the thing, you guys, I've mentioned this in videos. They were trying to save their marriage by trying polyamory, okay? When people get married, they make vows to each other till death do us part, through thick and thin, sickness, poor, rich, whatever they say, okay? They say all these things. I haven't been married, so I don't know the whole spiel, all right? But they make this commitment. So it's understandable to see two people in a relationship doing what they can to try to save that relationship. Now, something that we all need to understand, when you start trying to save your relationship, a monogamous relationship, by trying something like polyamory, there is a very high probability that things are gonna go south, okay? Now, based on the messages that we have seen that Heidi sent to Jared, she was 1000% okay with Jared exploring his feelings with Holly, all right? Now, the problem that I'm seeing here is people are justifying Heidi's behavior, okay? Let me read some more of her quotes from these messages to Jared, okay? Like, I really need it. I don't know how to make that any clearer. I, am, desperate, That makes me dangerous. I'm ready to start ruining all our lives. Now, something that I've seen people say is, well, if I was Heidi and this guy was cheating on me and going behind my back and da-da-da-da-da, I would do the same thing. This is an issue that I have and something that I'm trying to discuss on my podcast and, more things is that I think we really need to start talking about when are these justified? When is it justified to do this? Like, in my opinion, there is not, like, if we are working towards, like, what is mental health? Mental health is the ability to kind of have more control over your thoughts and emotions. To me, that is what mental health is, all right? So to promote the idea, I just don't agree with it. To promote the idea that when somebody hurts you, when somebody wrongs you, the right course of action is to send messages like this. Like, I feel that this is not okay. This is not okay, all right? Like, this whole eye for an eye, and because you get into this whole tricky situation. You get into a very tricky situation because you're trying to compare what you believe is morally and ethically wrong. Now, here's the other issue with this. You have to understand that Heidi sending these messages, threatening to destroy this man's life and take everybody down with him, affect the jobs of other people who are involved in the organizations that Jared's a part of. Like, this is so dangerous because in her lens, in the lens of Heidi, she has been ultimately wronged, right? In her view, Jared was a cheating, scummy, terrible human being, okay? And I'm asking you, as the community, as our society, okay, is it possible? Is it possible? I'm not saying this is what happened, but is it a possibility that Heidi was okay with this and then changed her mind after Jared developed feelings for Holly? Like, is that a possibility? Because something that we forget as human beings is that our perception is not always reality, all right? Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Something we struggle with as human beings is that our perception is not always reality, okay? I just tweeted out earlier a quote that I heard. Maybe I tweeted it out yesterday, all right? Let me go through. People been retweeting it. Not something I came up with. I'm active on Twitter. Go follow me. Okay, so I'm reading this new book. It's an amazing book. Go get it. It's called Everything is Fucked by Mark Manson, okay? It's he's the author of the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This is a great book. Everything is fucked, okay? But anyways, he said this. When we screw up, we tell ourselves it was some happy accident. When someone else screws up, we immediately decide to judge that person's character, okay? So, again, ask yourself, is Heidi's perception actually reality? We all have different perceptions of things that happen and go on. So, something that my friend Kalela tweeted when I mentioned this situation on Twitter. So go check out Kalela. Her channel is Post Traumatic Victory. But Kalela said, I honestly popped the fuck off about James Charles because I was triggered. CPTSD for anyone else reading who isn't Chris. I didn't realize how biased I was, but like, duh. So this is Kalela, all right? She's taking a step back and realizing how she reacted to this situation was based on her own personal experience. And this is what I'm trying to get my audience and people of the world to understand. You need to understand the way that you react to situations is based on so many things in your subconscious that you are not even aware of, okay? So there's another story. There's a story in this book, Everything is Fucked, about he tells a story. I think it's a fictional story, but it's a very real story, all right? So let me play this scenario out for you and what he talks about, okay? So there's a woman, and she's in a relationship with some guy. This guy cheats on her, okay? He leaves her for another woman. So now this woman who is cheated on, her brain tells her that all men are bad. Men are terrible. I cannot trust men anymore. Her brain also tells her, I can't trust people anymore, okay? I cannot trust anybody because of what happened to me, all right? Now, when something like this happens, something else that Mark Manson talks about is when situations happen to us, we start to think one of two things, right? Either they're at fault for doing this to me, or I'm at fault and I deserve this, okay? This is typically one of the two thoughts that we have, all right? So this woman who was cheated on goes into her next relationship. She starts dating an amazing man, all right? She starts dating this awesome, great guy, is there for her emotionally, physically. He's there for her, has never given her a reason not to trust him, all right? But one day they have a disagreement about something, and she leaves this man and breaks his heart. And now this guy is now jaded because he was in a relationship with this woman, and he's like, how could she just up and out of nowhere leave me for seemingly no reason, right? But then this guy has the clarity, wait, maybe it wasn't about me. Maybe she didn't break up with me because of me. Maybe she broke up with me because of her past relationship. Maybe she believes that she doesn't deserve a good relationship because of how poorly that last man treated her. All right? So I hope you guys are starting to understand where I'm coming from about how our lens for how we view the world can be created by our past experiences. So, going back to the ProJared and Heidi divorce, I can see a lot of people siding with Heidi because they've been cheated on. So the problem with that, and this is the problem with the court of public opinion, okay? The problem with that is when we get into that mode, we neglect facts, we neglect evidence, and we side with a person based on our own past experiences. And that is what my friend Kalela was pointing out. She was pointing out how she was immediately against James Charles just because she was triggered. Now, thank goodness somebody like Kalela has the self-awareness to see that's where her mind went, all right? Let me catch up on the chats real quick. All right. I think the issue, Flirting with Disaster says, I think the issue is finding a balance between not supporting someone who potentially did something very bad while also not spreading the allegations around before they're proven. Exactly. And you guys, something I'm very passionate about is being against mob mentality and being against cancel culture, because that summarizes it right there, okay? Like, be skeptical of Jared, okay? I'm still skeptical of Jared, all right? But the point I'm trying to make is we as a society keep freaking out about things before evidence really comes to light. And with the James Charles situation, I felt stupid. A bunch of other people covering the story felt stupid. We all felt stupid. And the James Charles situation has honestly made me question the speed in which I release videos, all right? Now, most of my James Charles videos, no, all of my James Charles videos, I did not delete those videos because fortunately I was able to cover each update from as much of an objective viewpoint as possible, all right? I took my time, I really looked at what was happening and everything like that, and I was like, okay, cool. But I did take down 2 of my videos, one about ProJared and one about Heidi, now that new evidence has come to surface. Okay, so now that we've painted the picture, all right? A dying relationship, tried to save it with polyamory. Heidi encouraged Holly and Jared to pursue this thing, and then Heidi changed her mind. We have evidence of that, okay? So I hope anybody out there who is listening to this, who is siding with Heidi, and I'm not saying she doesn't have a right to be hurt. We all get hurt in some way, shape, or form, but we have to ask ourselves, are my emotions, is the way that I'm reacting to this situation justified, all right? And public figures really need to be careful when it comes to these things, okay? So also, there's some people in the chat saying Heidi is tweeting as we speak. I will go back and I will look at these in a second, all right? So, something I discussed in this video, just on the relationship aspect of this was all messy. This was all extremely messy. I don't know all the details of Holly's relationship with her husband. I don't know, who knows? Like, something that I have to think about now that we know that Heidi and Jared were exploring polyamory, something I have to ask myself is, what was the state of Holly's relationship with her husband? Were they exploring polyamory? How much did he know about this thing? How much consent was there as well, okay? But the reason I titled my video, We Owe ProJared and Holly an Apology, is because Holly was slut-shamed. People attacked the way that Holly looks. People were saying, oh my God, Jared, how could you do this to Heidi when Holly looks this way? Like, I think it's safe to say that that's fucked up, all right? Now, something that we do as people as well is when we feel someone is in the wrong, we attack them personally, all right? And this is something that I really try not to do in my videos. I try to judge behaviors rather than the person, all right? If you go through my catalog of videos, I do my best not to attack a person's looks. I do my best not to say somebody is objectively a bad person. I feel that everybody makes mistakes, everybody screws up. I try to practice a bunch of empathy in these situations because, like, I've screwed up in the past, I've messed up, and if people held over my head every worst moment that I've ever had, I don't know how I would continue living my life, right? Like, and cancel culture is brutal because people immediately, like, they judge your character. And something I think a lot of people forget about, and I don't know if I can find this tweet, but I find this very fascinating. I find this really interesting. Charles hardest part. Let me see. Wait a second. If I can't find it, I'll just kind of summarize what he said. God, there's so many tweets about James Charles. Beep, 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 beep. When did the controversy happen? What was that, a week ago? So, like, all right, so May 18th. All right, let's look for this. I'm so unbelievable. Okay, this was when things were still going good for James Charles before all this stuff kicked off. Until Tati is ready. I like to know, traumatized by questionable hair choice. This dude tweets way too much. So hard to find tweets these days. Okay. All right, I can't find James Charles tweets. Believe me, go check his Twitter out if you want to. What I find really fascinating is that James Charles made a tweet before Tati Westbrook released her Bye Sister video. James Charles tweeted something along the lines of, and this was when people were, I think it was even before people were freaking out about the price of the Sisters Tour tickets at $500 for VIP. But he tweeted out something along the lines of, the hardest part about being a public figure is having people who don't know you judging your character, all right? And, like, it was probably the realest shit I have ever seen James Charles say that I could relate to, that I think a lot of people should be able to relate to. Like, it is such a mind fuck, you guys. Like, it is just the biggest mind fuck. So that is one of the reasons I said we need to apologize to Holly and ProJared. Like, having thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people judging who you are as a person without ever have meeting you is fucked. And I don't think enough people just time out for a second and try to put themselves in that situation, all right? Like, just imagine waking up tomorrow and a bunch of complete strangers labeling you as an awful person, all right? Labeling you as a liar, labeling you as a cheater. Just imagine that for 1 second and ask yourself what that would be like, okay? And that's why we need to empathize with anybody involved in any of these situations. Like, I have no ill will towards Heidi. With new information coming out, people are villainizing her, which I don't think is fair either. I think she messed up. I think Holly messed up. I think Jared messed up. But for people to judge your character without having met you is difficult. Now, I will say this. This isn't to create a pity party for public figures. Back when I first started my YouTube channel, no, not when I first started my YouTube channel, but when I started covering YouTubers and public figures and trying to get you all to relate to it, something that I kept talking about is when you sign up to be a YouTuber, when you want to be an actor, when you want to be an actress, when you want to be any sort of public figure, a lot of people forget this is part of it, okay? I signed up for this, Holly signed up for this, Jared signed up for this, Heidi signed up for this, anybody on YouTube signed up for this, okay? We have all put ourselves out there for the entire world to judge. So I just want all of you listeners, all of you viewers to just take a step back and look at that. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not trying to preach some hippy-dippy world peace because, you know, I'm a realist, and I just want people, whoever takes the time to listen to the words coming out of my mouth, I just hope to impact you in some minor way, shape, or form, so when new situations pop up, you pause for a second. You pause for 1 second before calling somebody Holly like a terrible person or ugly or, you know, whatever it is, right? I just want you to pause for a second. That's it. If you still send out that tweet or leave that comment, cool. But if I can... I just saw something in the chat. James Charles, April 21st tweet. Good looking out. I have such an awesome community. But anyways, like, if I can get anybody to just pause for a second and just think like, man, I have done my job. Okay, so let's find this tweet that James Charles said. April 21st. Yeah, this is back when this is before, okay. So he actually tweeted this before he even announced the Sisters Tour. So think about this. So when James, like, this is crazy. This is crazy, okay? So the context of this tweet that James Charles sent out, this is before he talked about the Sisters Tour and people were freaking out about how expensive it was. This is before Gage Gomez came out accusing James Charles. Like, this is before Tati Westbrook made her video. He made this tweet before any of this happened, all right? And then he got flooded with this exact same thing. So James Charles said, and thank you, Adrian, for finding it for me. James Charles says, one of the questions I get asked the most in interviews is, what's the worst part about having a following? And I think I finally know the answer. People that don't know you making up assumptions about your character and not being able to defend yourself. Preach. Like I said, anybody who is a public figure who has a following signed up for this, all right? Like, if you want to be a YouTuber, if you want to be a famous person, if you want to be a celebrity, you do yo thing, boo. But I just want people to understand what comes along with it. Like, there are so many people who want to be a public figure, who want to be a celebrity, who want to be a YouTuber. Oh, I want to be famous. Because their mind, all they think about is the attention, the love, the admiration, the money, the vacations, the houses, the cars, the relationships, the sex. All they think about is all of these nice things, okay? So something else that I'm trying to get out there as a message to anybody listening is, when you try to increase your level on the wonderful social hierarchy of planet Earth, there are things that come along with it, okay? Like, during my own controversy that happened a couple months ago, for anybody listening, I just took a drink of something and it kind of went down funny. But anyways, during my own controversy, I had to think about the fact that I signed up for this. I put myself out there. I put myself in this position. I put myself in a position to say things, to have people quote me out of context, like whatever it was. I put myself in that position. But this is an episode about ProJared. I'm not going to go back into into my past. And can we all give a hand to my beautiful girlfriend, Tristan, for being a gangster and moderating the channel? Love you, boo. All right. So anyways, getting back to where we were. ProJared situation, the entire thing was messy, okay? I'm going to see what Heidi's been tweeting out. All right. So the reason why I wanted to hop on and discuss this in a long form format is this, okay? The other comments that I'm getting on my video, let me pull it up real quick, because this is very troublesome. All right, so before I show you this, I just want to say, wisdom is taking knowledge and applying it to practical use, all right? Wisdom is knowledge and applying it to practical use, all right? The reason why it is important to understand the difference between wisdom and knowledge is a bunch of people can learn things and do absolutely nothing with it, all right? So going through the comments on this video, he blocked his wife, Anyways, there's a bunch of comments on here saying, no, that's not the issue. This isn't the issue. The issue is that Jared sent nudes to minors, okay? This is something that people keep saying. It's something that people are saying on Twitter, all right? Again, like I said at the beginning of this live stream podcast, Jared might be guilty. But the issue is, in the court of public opinion, people are guilty until proven innocent. People will slap on, like, okay, you guys, there are tiers, okay? There are tiers to things. Like, let's use James Charles as an example. Being a shitty friend. Okay, being a shitty friend is a terrible thing. Like, don't be a shitty friend. Don't be a dick. All right, cool. You're a bad friend. All right. But then it starts to escalate very quickly. All right, you're not just a shitty friend. You're a sexual predator. Okay? Now, a predator, that is a rough one. Okay? Now we're escalating it. Then it went from you being a sexual predator to allegations of being a pedophile and a rapist, okay? Like, are you guys following me here? Like, when I see everybody just throwing out this stuff, I'm like, does anybody understand how serious the allegations of pedophilia and rape are? Like, it blows my mind. Like, Shane Dawson, I swear to God, like, if I was Shane Dawson, I would thank the Lord every day. I'm not even a religious person. I don't know if Shane Dawson is, but I would become a believer because Shane Dawson has this invincibility shield that I don't even think he understands that he has. There was a narrative created that Shane Dawson was a pedophile, and everybody ran to defend him. Everybody ran to defend Shane Dawson, and I have never in my life seen that happen again. It's like, so again, wisdom is taking knowledge and applying it to practical use. People saw the community or certain parts of the community trying to paint Shane Dawson as a pedophile. Hell, Bobby Burns even came out with a video screaming at people that Shane Dawson is not a pedophile. And Bobby Burns did a great job with that video. Where is it? If anybody wants to find that, I'll link it in the chat. Cool. Because I think it's important. So, like, Bobby Burns discussed how serious that accusation is. How serious it is to accuse somebody of being a pedophile. Like, Bobby Burns was like, don't even use that word. Do not use that word, because that is a word that can stick to somebody for the rest of their life. And Bobby's rant on that subject was fucking epic. And it's like, this happened, what, a year ago? A year ago it happened, and nobody since then has understood how serious that shit is. Now, like, something that makes me sick is that it's become like a YouTube trend or even a social media trend to accuse people of being a pedophile. Like, do you guys understand how fucked that is? Like, anybody. Like, do you understand how screwed up it is for it to be a trend to accuse people of being a pedophile? So, a great example of that, I'm still looking for this Bobby Burns video, but a great example of that is what happened to Just Destiny, okay? So people are gonna, you know, when we talk about what happened to Just Destiny, he even went on Keemstar's thing. Just Destiny Keemstar. Okay, so Keemstar brought Just Destiny on Drama Alert. Now, Just Destiny did something fucked up. He filed a false copyright claim, okay? But he was being accused of being a pedophile, okay? Like, the two worst things that you could be labeled as is a pedophile or a rapist. Those are the two worst things, like, that you can be. Like, I mentioned in a video I did about Philip DeFranco the other day, like, Philip DeFranco is very minimal on his opinions on things, but he is very, very opinionated on instances of pedophilia and rape, because those are very serious things, all right? So, like, to have somebody throw that label on you. But going back to the ProJared situation. So those of you who aren't caught up to speed on why ProJared is being labeled as somebody sending nudes to minors, when this whole situation happened and Heidi started accusing Jared of being a cheater and everything like that, a bunch of people started to come out. Okay, now, as I tell this story in chronological order, there are things to understand that Heidi did not come out with until later, okay? But in Heidi and Jared's relationship, they had a Tumblr, and they wanted to create this kind of body positive Tumblr thing where people share nudes and are proud of their bodies and everything like that. Like, listen, your sexuality, how you know, like, whatever you do with your sexuality and like body positivity, and this is something that Holly Conrad touched on. If you want to swap nudes with people, go fucking swap nudes with people, right? Like, for example, Tristan and I were watching 6 Feet Under last night. And sorry for this spoiler on a show that ended like a decade ago. But anyways, this one character starts dating this guy. They first start having sex. And the guy basically says, yo, I'm into like the whole dom submissive type deal, okay? Like, and then she kind of says, I want to have normal sex. Well, in that guy's lens, that is normal sex. You know what I mean? So if you have a kink, if you're into that shit, do your thing. Now, there are obviously kinks that are bad, like, well, let me backtrack on that. There are kinks that are bad, okay? I'm not going to say what I was going to say because this is going to be recorded and anybody can say what I, like, twist whatever I was thinking about saying. But anyways, if you have a kink, go do your thing, all right? Like, I have friends who are into BDSM, kinks, and all that shit. Whatever, you do you. Whatever the fuck gets your rocks off, do your thing. There are men who get off to women stepping on their crotch. I don't give a fuck. If there are two consenting adults and one adult says to another adult, step on my junk, go for it, all right? But if one adult stepped on the guy's junk and he didn't ask for it, now we're into the realm of abuse. So anyways, getting back to the context of this situation. Heidi and Jared, they agreed on starting a Tumblr for body positivity and swapping photos and everything like that. Holly mentioned, as long as this is between consenting adults, that's cool. But if you start to release those photos, that is something called revenge porn, which is a felony in 48 states. So something I mentioned in my video, if people are, if you're swapping nudes with somebody and it's consensual, don't release them because that is a felony, all right? Don't do that, okay? Cool, thanks. Now, you know what's interesting? See, this is why Tristan and I need to get another mic and have conversations. So what happens if a guy sends you an unsolicited dick pic? Are you then allowed to release that photo if it was unsolicited? Would that be revenge porn?
I don't know.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Think about that, all right? Because, dude, like, one of my favorite things.
It's like considered sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah. But, like...
It's like flashing.
Oh, yeah, like flashing? Yeah. Because let me tell you guys, one of my favorite things on the internet is when men send women unsolicited dick pics and then, like, the woman gets a hold of, like, his mom.
Yeah.
Like, that shit cracks me up so much. Like, if you want to know what makes me laugh, it's that. So anybody listening to this or watching this, if you find stories of men sending unsolicited dick pics and then the woman getting a hold of that guy's mother, I would love to hear about it because it's one of my favorite things. Okay, back to the serious subject. Now, the reason Jared is being accused of sending nudes to minors or swapping nudes with minors is because two people came out on Twitter and the tweets kind of went viral. I don't know where they are anymore. But to explain, they came out and these are people who are, I believe they're 18 now, but they're saying at the time they were underaged. And they felt it was time to come forward with their stories since Heidi just released this information that Jared's an awful person. So again, I am not saying that Jared's innocent, but again, we need to take our knowledge and turn it into wisdom. When all of this James Charles shit escalated, when all of the James Charles stuff escalated, people were coming out of the woodwork, and there was a viral story that happened where this person created an entire fake and photoshopped story of James Charles sexually assaulting somebody in a bathroom, okay? That story was proven to be false. So this is why I am doing this long-form podcast live stream. It's like everybody fucking forgot that happened, okay? Less than a week ago, okay? Like, follow me here. Less than a week ago, somebody created a false story about a celebrity who was getting backlashed stating sexual assault. Okay? This happened less than a week ago, and yet people still have absolutely no problem with spreading the narrative that ProJared was swapping nudes with minors. Okay? I am not saying he's innocent, but it blows my mind how we're living in a world of guilty until proven innocent when there was such a major public story that just happened less than a fucking week ago. Like, I will try to give these people the benefit of the doubt, and for some crazy reason, they didn't hear about what just happened with James Charles. I will try my best to give them the benefit of the doubt, but based on my own personal experience, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's true. I think that they're just like, oh, okay, well, James Charles proved that he was innocent, but you know what? Fuck this ProJared guy. You know, like, you know what I mean? And again, ProJared might have done it. But now let's talk about what else happened to James Charles. Okay? Let's talk about what else happened to James Charles. Jeffree Star was sending James Charles messages accusing James Charles of sexual assault and pedophilia. Jeffree Star was accusing James Charles of sexual assault and pedophilia. And then all of a sudden, poof, Jeffree Star backtracked. This was all hearsay, da-da-da-da-da. And can I explain to all of you why that is? Because James Charles, if Jeffree Star did not back down, James Charles could have sued the ever-loving hell out of Jeffree Star, because that is just such a defamation of character. Like, I'm not a lawyer, okay? But I would imagine he could have sued for defamation of character, the emotional distress that he went through. He could sue for all of the money he's lost because of Jeffree spreading false information of him being a sexual predator and a pedophile. Like think about that. Think about that. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a podcast, because like the stories I follow on YouTube and that I follow on Twitter, it's so childish. It's like, and this might get me some backlash, but this is just the way I see it. It's like, and maybe it's because I'm 33, but we live in this world where so many people online just like don't know how to adult. You know what I mean? Like, people don't understand like laws, they don't understand legal issues, they don't understand these things, and they just fly around like they are personally. It's like everybody on Twitter feels that they are judge, jury, and executioner, right? Like fuck due process. I am judge, jury, and executioner. Even though I am an emotional creature and I don't give a shit about facts or evidence. Like, imagine if our judicial system ran like that. Imagine if somebody was being accused of something like this and and a judge was like, you know what? I don't like that fucking shirt you're wearing. Life in prison. Like, think about that. Like, what if people were actually convicted based on emotions? Okay? This is one of the reasons, like I don't mean to be extra about this, but you guys, the history of the United States is that people will, like, okay, the Salem witch trials. Remember those, Tristan? Remember those?
I was there.
Yeah. Remember those days? You guys remember when somebody thought somebody was a witch and they would fucking publicly burn them at the stake? All right? For being a witch. All right? This is the history of the world. Okay? Like, and can nobody look back? Like, you guys, we have to learn lessons from history. Like, what good is soaking up all of your knowledge and shit? Like, what good is learning about all this stuff if you're not like, well, you know, this didn't work in the past, so why am I doing it now? Now, the one issue that we live with today is that people like Donald Trump like to, in my opinion, manipulate by using that word, like, oh, this is a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt, right? But, like, all right, man, you were doing some shady shit. So again, ProJared might be guilty. He might be guilty, but you guys, like, I refuse. Like, so I have a personal responsibility as a public figure reporting on stories and sharing my opinion. I have a personal responsibility because I'm letting y'all know right now, I am not going to be the dude getting my ass sued by ProJared when it turns out that he's not swapping nudes with minors. That, I ain't going out like that, all right? But I have a responsibility as somebody reporting on these things and sharing my opinion. And I wish more people felt that personal responsibility to their fellow human beings. Like, something I've been replying with on my YouTube video for everybody saying or accusing Jared of swapping nudes with minors, I'm like, have any charges been filed? Has he been interviewed by police? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's because I'm a true crime nerd and stuff like that. Like, there are things that happen. There are things that happen and evidence happens and everything like that. Like, police do not bring you in to be questioned. Police do not lock you up for 24 hours unless there is, like, in most cases, right? But people, like, police don't do that unless they have a reason to. Like, it's a reason why you need search warrants and all these things. Like, there are certain amounts of evidence that need to come to play for the police to pursue something. So again, ProJared might be guilty. But at this point in time, as a community, as a society, to run around spreading the narrative, the very serious narrative that this man was potentially looking at child pornography, it's fucked. Like, trust me. Like, I don't have any other videos that I've been practicing something called second order thinking when I make my videos. I do not have any videos that I will need to come take down if it comes out that charges are pressed against ProJared for child pornography, soliciting nudes from minors, or anything like that. I do not have a single video that I'll have to take down because I am not saying that ProJared is innocent. What I am saying is that it is fucked to spread this narrative without evidence, okay? And witness testimony is a very serious thing, right? Like, aside from like fingerprints and DNA and stuff like that in trials, the best evidence you can have is eyewitness testimony. But even that, only, it's still less than DNA evidence and fingerprints and all that stuff. And here's why. Because it turns into an argument of he said, she said. All right? Like, think about that for a second. Like, I'm not going to say Jared's innocent, but something I'm trying to do with this podcast is show multiple angles and think about different scenarios. I think a great example of this is what happened to Brandon, Vlog Squad Brandon, what's his name? Brandon Calvillo? Brandon Calvillo. Great example is Brandon Calvillo. All right, so if you don't remember what happened to him when Trisha Paytas said that he was dating a minor and everything like that, Calvillo. So, where is it? Where's him and his boo? Did he take that video down? That'd be weird. All right, but let me share with you guys the story of that. Oh, shit. Tristan, I think he took it down. Really? Really, Brandon? You're just going to erase it like, oh, this never happened. This part of history never happened. But you know what's funny? He still has his conversation with Trisha Paytas up. Okay, so let me go back to Edwin's generation. His video was up here. Oh, wait, that's Dustin Daly. Didn't want to, yeah. Whoopsie. Okay, here's Edwin's generation. I just want to show people that this video actually existed at some point. Okay, all right, so this video existed at some point. Edwin's generation, he, by the way, go check out his channel. I don't always agree with Edwin's generation, but that's okay. Like, he and I might have different views on situations, but I respect the fuck out of this dude because he really tries to get as many facts and evidence as possible before making a video. If it's on a serious subject, This video, I believe, was made pretty quick after Brandon Calvillo made it. But anyways, besides, go check out Edwin's Generation. So Trisha Paytas accused Brandon Calvillo of dating a minor and having sex with a minor. That's because Brandon Calvillo and his girlfriend, when they started dating, Brandon was in his 20s, she was 17, about to turn 18. But the thing is that Brandon's girlfriend, when she was 17, she lied to Brandon about her age. Now, Brandon's story is they never slept together until she turned 18 because she admitted that before. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But the reason I bring that story up is I want you guys to ask yourself this question, all right? Like, again, I'm not a lawyer, but maybe I should fucking be a lawyer. But if I was to defend ProJared, the question I would bring up is, did any of these minors lie to ProJared about his age? About their age, sorry. Because if ProJared was swapping nudes with consenting adults, somebody told him they were older and sent him nudes, is ProJared guilty of soliciting photos from minors? You see what I mean? And again, it's very well possible that ProJared knew, and he was like, he, this person's underage. I'm gonna get some nudes. But it is also possible that ProJared thought they were older. Now, something else I want to say is, to anybody listening, like, be careful. If somebody even looks like they might be younger, like, be pretty fucking careful, okay? But again, like, I felt this topic needed to be covered and just explain all of the thoughts that go through my mind when looking at this situation. And like, I don't mind bringing you guys like behind the curtain to see like my thought process as I analyze these subjects and look at them. Like, I am on a daily basis, I am trying to get better at slowing down before I make a video and form an opinion. I'm trying to do better. And the first two videos I took down on the ProJared situation, like, I talked about those situations before both sides of the stories were had come out. And since such serious allegations were out there, I took those videos down. Now, when I covered the James Charles story, like, I wonder what that is. I wonder, and I have to look at my own bias, you know, like, why, like, I never, by the way, like, in the videos I took down, I never accused ProJared of soliciting nudes from minors. I took those videos down because I didn't like how I sided with Heidi that ProJared was a cheater. To this day, I would not label ProJared a cheater. Like agreeing to explore polyamory and then changing the rules, I don't see that as cheating. Like, I'm sorry, like, that's just my opinion. Like, even if that person is like, hey, I changed my mind on the polyamory thing, like, I just don't agree with that. But anyways, I do question my own bias because, you know, was I more careful with the James Charles situation? If so, why was I? Like, this is something that I'm trying to, like, not just to become a better YouTuber or a commentator or anything like that, but as a better person. You know, like, a great example, and my beautiful girlfriend Tristan witnessed this too, and we had to talk about this. Okay, so a great example is my son. All right, I will defend my son until the ends of the earth, right? If my son was wronged in some way, I will be there for him. I will defend him and all of that. But I also have to, as a parent, I have a responsibility of looking at my son's situations and try to broaden my lens on this. So the other day, my son runs out into the living room. He was playing Fortnite in his room. We're in the kitchen. My son runs out and says, Dad, how do I block somebody's phone number? How do I block somebody's phone number, right? And I'm like, what, why? And he's like, this kid, he started cussing at me and saying all these things and blah, 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 and I just want to block his phone number. I just want to block his phone number. And I asked him, I don't mean to victim blame, but I asked him, I said, what did you do? Nothing. I'm like, really, Dylan? Really? you did absolutely nothing. And then as I started to question him, a little bit more of the story came out, right? And then a little bit more of the story came out. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, Dylan, it sounds like you are both in the wrong here. And I told my son, I said, I don't think you should block this kid's number because although he might have reacted to you poorly, maybe he's having a rough day. Maybe he was emotional. And I was like, and if your friend ever wants to apologize to you, he won't have the opportunity to apologize to you because you've blocked his phone number. All right? And I want to end with that. Okay? Like, in going in these situations, I think it's important for all of us to sit back and just ask ourselves all of the different possibilities until we have concrete evidence on these situations. But it is messed up to run around labeling people as sexual pedophiles. Why am I saying that weird? Sexual predators. It is wrong to do that without evidence. And I'm not saying don't believe victims. Be there for them, but we need to be very mindful of these situations and trying to end somebody's career, destroy their livelihoods, because, while a bunch of people are feeling shitty about the James Charles situation and resubscribing to him, I don't see, the ProJared story didn't blow up nearly as big, and I don't feel he is going to be vindicated in the same way. And my final thought on that is, I don't think ProJared will be vindicated in the same way as James Charles, because based on people's own perception of the situation, they're still going to label him as a cheater. But I don't think it's fair to say you're a cheater, therefore you are also potentially a pedophile. That's not okay. All right, but anyways, thank you all for sitting here and listening to all of my thoughts on this situation. Very complex. Hope you enjoyed episode 2 of A Different Lens podcast. I love you all. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, don't forget to follow this podcast. I'm not always going to be covering pop culture. I'm going to be covering a lot of different ideas and topics and everything like that. But anyways, this was something I felt needed more of a long form content style. So that's why I did it. Don't forget to follow. And also I'm on Instagram and Twitter. All right? If you want to embrace the madness that is social media, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. All right? Love you all. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.